This is the Dukes Review, Season 1, Episode 6, titled Swamp Molly, written by Catherine Nicolayan Powers, directed by Don McDougall, original air date March 9th, 1979, and here's the show preview right here.
The one that won the hog throwing contest 3 years in a row?
Want to wrestle?
I gotta make one last run, Jess.
The only thing I saw coming this way was a little old ice cream truck with naked babies painted on the side.
Girl, have you seen Mother Goose?
And there was the preview. I like the Season 1 previews, Corndog. I like those quite a bit. It's more action and less dialogue.
Right.
Welcome to those of you who are joining us now on YouTube. For those of you who are watching, you may not know this, but we have a full audio show. And over the last many years, we have reviewed all 7 seasons of the Dukes of Hazzard on our audio podcast. We're now going back through and doing them just for you on video. We're not doing every single episode, just the good ones. Okay.
Just most of them.
Just most of them that we like, but we're not doing the ones that we don't.
We will omit some.
And we already have. I am your host, Rob Kibbe, a longtime automotive podcasting know-it-all. He is Bernie McPartland, the automotive podcasting nonstop producer who will not stop yakking. And Justin Corndog Cornett actually knows things about Dodge Chargers and Dukes of Hazzard and all things OCD. Here is the show IMDb summary. Family friend Swamp Molly asks Bo and Luke to deliver a load of moonshine, but the shipment is really illegal firearms.
Short and sweet, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's a show note, not really a review.
Yeah.
It's true, but lacking. Where's the charm? DVD summary. Way back in the 1930s, Molly sprang Uncle Jesse out of a heap of trouble with the feds. Now she wants to make one last moonshine run, and she wants Jesse and the other Dukes to help.
Mm-hmm.
Better.
Fine.
Yeah.
Yes. Burn, a little summary music for me. This is my summary. I think I have made it known that I love the early seasons of the Dukes. And I also prefer the early seasons of the California era Dukes of Hazzard more than Georgia. I don't know why. Mostly because it's more comic booky, there's more disco, there's more blown up outhouses, and in season 1, there's more in-car camera scenes with real actors, and more young Catherine Box. Let's be honest, Uncle Jesse has to return a debt to old family friend Molly, and Jesse is fond of Molly in the kitchen, if you know what I mean. Cooking, Bert.
Yeah.
Cooking. Anyway, Molly forces Jesse to help her run some moonshine, only the moonshine is firearms. And by firearms, we mean machine guns, grenades, rocket launchers, maybe a bazooka. Bo and Luke get caught with the goods, shenanigans ensue. A real RT General E is used in there somewhere. Boss and Roscoe take the disco, and tank tops reign supreme. I'm going to say 9 corn dogs for this one. I like this episode. Lot of good action in it.
Yeah, it really was. And I don't know what it is about this camera or the filming technique or what, but this episode is like really crystal clear and crisp, and the lighting is great. And like if you're looking for details, this is the episode, because it seems like every other episode, is a little blurry and out of focus, but this one is like crisp as crisp can be.
Yeah, the colors are more bold.
Yeah, they really pop on this episode. And I don't know, how they go about digging out old footage from the archives, but this one has always been just perfect as far as clarity.
Could be it was all filmed on a Monday and the lenses were clean. Probably
so. The California smog had not set in that day.
Not yet, yeah. Good wind. Keep it all clear.
Well, that's the thing. This is the first episode of the Dukes of Hazzard shot in California, I think. It's the first one that's aired from California. I have no idea if this was the first one shot in California. This episode aired 2 weeks after the prior one. The prior one was the last one shot in Georgia, and then the series moved to California and started filming there. And this starts to have the look that those of us that grew up with this show kind of recognize. The hills kind of look right. The roads kind of look right. The Duke farm kind of looks right. Everything starts to fit in a little bit. Boss and Roscoe become more comical. They're already more comical. Roscoe is using a giant Army surplus CB radio, from Vietnam or something like that, and is wearing incognito clothing. Boss Hogg is in his office reading a book to teach himself disco.
Yeah. This book is kind of funny because you can actually go on eBay and type in disco dancing, and this book pulls up pretty quick. I mean, you find many of them.
It wasn't a prop. It's an actual,
no, it's a real book. Yeah.
How to Disco.
Yeah. How to Disco. And you can barely see the author's name is Karen something because they zoom in on the cover and you can read it. So you just go to eBay and type in disco dancing Karen, and that book pops up.
That's interesting. Yeah.
So it was a real item, not a prop.
Did you do this at work, say in the boss's office? This piece of research, and he walks in and you're pulling up a book on disco dancing?
No, I've actually pulled it up. I've looked it up before just because, during an episode I've seen a million times. A thought will come up in my head and I'll think, oh, let me just check. Sure enough, there it is.
I have just a stream of consciousness notes that I wrote here, but I'd like to go through and ask Corndog a few specific questions about it. So one of the interesting ones is the last time that we, as a show, reviewed this was on the Kibbe and Finnegan show in 2016. Episode 2 of the Kibbe and Finnegan show was the last time we've ever reviewed it. And that was so early in our run that was before the Corndog Insider notes were a part of that show. So I didn't even have your original notes to go back and pull. But I have several in here that I'd like to ask you about. And then we'll actually discuss the production of the show. So first, there's more than one General Lee in here. There's at least one 69, a couple 68s, maybe. There is one that seems to be a real RT. When it's driving along, you can see an RT badge on the grill.
Yeah. I don't know which car this is, though. I need to go back and look. I don't think this is going to be Lee 3. But it very possibly could be I wish I had my screenshots on this computer, but I don't. This might be one of the first early converted General Lees in California.
I may be able to share it here in Amazon, but what's interesting is the one that pulls up to Cooter's garage is a 68. And it has something else that's unique in this series, and they only do it early on. They drive around with the back windows up.
And that's weird because, and I know kind of why, because when you have a roll bar in it, in a General Lee, it's really kind of a pain to get to the window cranks because it tends to get right in the way. And so usually they would just roll them down and leave them down. But I don't know if it was like miscommunication as far as the directors go, and, that they didn't give them the memo and say, hey, look, these are supposed to be rolled down all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they finally, after a few episodes in, then they finally got at least, pretty consistent as far as the windows go.
There are other cars in here that are kind of fun, and you don't see these all throughout the Dukes of Hazzard production. But at one point, Daisy pulls up in Uncle Jesse's pickup to the Boar's Nest, and she parks right next to a super sweet VW Bug hot rod with bob fenders and a bob hood and a Stinger exhaust pipe and big wheels for a VW Bug.
Yeah.
What a sweet car that is.
I think some of these early episodes, they just used crew members' cars. And because you see all sorts of cars, which I actually kind of liked when they did that because it was a little bit more realistic. And, but later in the series, you got to where you were seeing the same cars over and over all the time. Like there was this green Dodge Dart Sport or a Duster, one or the other. And you saw this car multiple times throughout the series. But early on, I think they just had crew members' cars used as background cars.
Um, Bo, John Schneider specifically, is still figuring out how to get in and out of the General Lee. There's a scene, Kirk, I think I have it marked in here somewhere, but there's a scene where they are leaving Swamp Molly's right in the middle of the episode. And Tom Wopat climbs in just like Luke Duke does. Puts his hand up on the top right, works his way in, just one smooth move.
Mm-hmm.
John Schneider gets in, and at one point, both of his arms are above his head, flailing.
Well, he's tall and lanky, and then he's got to maneuver around the steering wheel as well. So I can see that being kind of tricky.
Within a few episodes, though, he's smooth as butter, and he definitely has the getting out part pretty good. There's a scene where he pulls up. He is driving, and he pulls up to a roadblock, and his job is to get out of the General Lee real quick, grab a bow and arrow with dynamite on it, shoot it below the roadblock up so that everybody can escape through it. He really does the drive up. That's worth putting here on video, Kirk. Comes to a screaming stop on frame, does a nice job. They all leave. That car in a scene prior to that is an RT. I really can't tell how many General Lees there are, though. I don't know, though, when Lee 3 dies. How long does Lee 3, one of the original 3 General Lees, live, as far as you know?
I can't remember what episode it was. It seems like it was like the mob comes in. I think it's one of the first episodes of season 2. Drawing a blank on the name now. But they actually jump the car across a little short or a little small ditch or ravine, and it hits the embankment, and you just see, the nose just goes straight up in the air. Mm-hmm. So, it wasn't a huge, massive, send off type jump. It was just a little hop, and nose went up, and that was it.
Vern, do you ever watch the show Different Strokes?
For different folks?
A less than handful of times.
Well, the cousin Alice character in this episode of The Dukes, her name is Mary Jo Catlett, and she played the maid on Different Strokes. That's where I recognized her from. And if you had to grow up in the era to even know what Different Strokes is, but that to me is probably her most famous run. In this particular one, she's a robust woman who is pining for Bo, and they comically have her at one point push an ice cream truck up a hill.
Yes.
She was very homely.
I saw her, and her face reminded me of somebody else. And I did a little digging, and I never could prove whether they're related or not. But did you see the movie? I'm sure you did, with Rodney Dangerfield, Back to School.
Yeah.
The swimming coach, his name is Emmett Walsh. And in the face, there's an uncanny resemblance between Mary Jo and Emmett. Are they related? I don't know. I couldn't prove yes or no, but there was one look. She kind of turns around and looks and gives you that, that smile into the camera. It's like, I know that face. So take that and buy a cup of coffee.
Well, if you're watching on video, Kirk will cue it up here, but here's the gist of the episode. Molly needs help, and she's going to use guilt to get it.
Oh, I wished I was strong, like in the old days. Like that time I was able to help you escape from the feds. Back in 36, I believe that was. That time you come so close to spending the rest of your days behind bars.
All right, Molly. What is it you want this time?
Simple. The boys pick up a truck at the Hazzard County line and drive it to the swamp landing. And this stuff would make you proud, Jess. I'm hauling prime.
Okay, so we are in the era here of moonshine, and this is prime shine, and she gives Uncle Jesse some moonshine, and he opens up, and the camera does to what it does to us on YouTube, focus it. Yeah, she's prime. Unfortunately, that's not what she's really hauling. she's hauling guns, like a militia's worth of guns.
Yeah, I mean, so much that when you open the door, they almost start falling out of the back. I mean, massive amount.
Machine guns, rifles, grenades.
Probably from the same war surplus that Roscoe got all his crap.
An RPG. Maybe a bazooka was in there. But something bad, truly bad. And the moral code of this show has always been there's Boss and Roscoe are bad guys, but they're not mercilessly evil. There is a line that's crossed in there. And what's interesting is when the Dukes get busted with this, they're shocked because they realize what it is. They're scared. But Roscoe's offended.
Yeah.
And that's the best part.
Roscoe, you gotta believe me. We had no idea. Will you hush? It wasn't bad enough you run booze, now you're running guns to those pinko fascists. You can't believe that. You hush. I got you this time on a federal arms regulations, and that's enough to put you away for your natural life. You have the right to remain silent.
What they're doing, he sees as un-American.
Yeah, he's shocked just as much as the rest of them.
How could you?
Yeah.
That's how he sees it. Now it gets exploited and is comical later. So the end result was Molly was running guns. She was trying to make some money. She wasn't expecting Bo and Luke to get caught, and she has them run it in a small truck, which they have a cooter paint up as an ice cream truck. And being our friend is Nathan Warren. Nathan Warren is a friend of this show and is a body man by trade, but he is an artist painter nut job by heart. I truly believe in my heart of hearts that if somebody gave him one of those little trucks, he would paint it as an ice cream truck with naked babies on the side, which are cherubs.
Cherubs.
Yeah. I know that he would. They tried to drive the ice cream truck across the county line to get away. They unfortunately get busted. And in the end, the ice cream truck gets launched by a police car by accident into a swamp. And this is the first time that we see John Schneider do some swimming scenes. We learned throughout the course of the show that Tom Wopat didn't mind heights and John Schneider did. And Tom didn't like swimming and maybe couldn't swim and John Schneider could. So they have their stunts that they trade. John Schneider, I don't think does the stunt to get launched into the swamp in the truck, but he does do the swimming to get back out. The episode ends, all rights are wronged, and we never hear from Molly again.
Well, this is also the beginning of when they'll, many episodes throughout the remainder of the series, there's always this quicksand. And there's, the swamp that goes just
to China.
Yeah. I mean,
they always go to China.
I mean, it's kind of, that's really the first bit of comical writing, I guess you'd say, because I mean, I've never run into quicksand. Have either of you?
No, because we're here.
I mean, is the stuff even real? I mean,
it's real. Yeah. Didn't you see Blazing Saddles? How can you say that?
And Dukes of Hazzard is right there. They're equally right there with it. I mean, it's you're going to run into more quicksand in Hazzard now that we're in California episodes.
Okay.
No telling how many train push cars are in that quicksand and how many mules they lost.
I Googled, is quicksand real? Here's the answer. Yes, quicksand is real. But it rarely behaves like a fatal drowning trap depicted in movies. It is a water-saturated mixture of sand, clay, and dirt that becomes unstable when disturbed, creating a thick, gooey, and sticky substance that can trap limbs. It is generally harmless, rarely deeper than waist deep, and you will not sink completely.
Well, depending on where your waist is on your torso, that can be debatable whether it's deadly or not.
Basically, it's mud with a bunch of grit. Pretty much.
That goes to China. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is.
But if you even get close to it, you will get swallowed up in a heartbeat.
I like that by the 6th episode, both John Schneider and Tom Wopat have dropped their Southern accents. They're not trying anymore. They say Southern words like ain't and y'all, but they do so with their normal human accents wherever they were from.
Yeah, they locked it in. They knew that it was locked in at that point.
What's also interesting to me is all the second unit B-roll. It's all brand new. It has to be because they have just moved to California. So every time you see the generally out on a country road or out blazing by past a hill or something like that, that was all shot brand new.
Mm-hmm.
Every scene you see in here is new. Nothing is recycled. That's another thing that I really love about these early episodes. It's all new. The little red tags in the bottom left corner of the windshield of the general, that's there. I can't read it in this episode. Maybe you could, but they had John Schneider in the car, really in the car while the car was being towed, and you can see that little red tag in there.
From what I understand, they were labeled basically, the Georgia episodes were LEE 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. And these were basically labeled GL 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it goes on. And that's my understanding of how the Valley's labeled their cars, was just GL whatever number. And then, later on it becomes SGL and then WGL. But yeah, from my understanding, it's just GL and whatever.
So are we now in the Values A era of produced cars?
See, I believe so, because I've always heard that they picked it up pretty much as soon as they came out to California. But then it all goes back. Also, there's another car builder that I've mentioned before, Eddie Paul, and he built a lot of these early California cars, but I'm thinking he may have just built like some of the second, I don't know what you'd call it. It was close-up cars. Like, for example, in Luke's love story, the green Camaro that they flip, and then the Lucifer Mustang that the two ladies have, he built those cars. And the Valley's didn't build them. So I don't know if he actually worked for the Valley's and, kind of did his own thing. But from my understanding, I believe the Valley's pretty much picked up from the start.
Okay. I gave this a 9.
In California, I guess you'd say.
I give this episode a 9. It's fun. I like all the colors. I like that all the footage is brand new. I love that we're still seeing actors in the cars, even when they're being towed.
Yeah.
There's a scene where Daisy's stunt double lady drives through a roadblock in the pickup, and the camera is behind her, and it's a violent drive through.
Yeah. Very
violent, but it's real. We don't get that in the later eras, not nearly like this. But I thoroughly enjoyed this episode, if not for all the new stuff and the bright colors, just like you said, and all the nice detail. What do you guys give it?
You gave it a 9, right?
Yeah.
I like it. It's definitely not one of my favorite episodes of season 1. I'm like, okay. I maybe give it a 7.
7? Okay. I'll go with that. No wrong answer. Bern, what's yours?
Sure.
7, that's pretty harsh. I was going to go 8.5, maybe 8 3/4. There was some good sliding sequences in here, some Rockford turns and things like that. And I really dig the pickup truck that Molly was in, 47 to early 50 model. So homely, but so great. And, they let you see the rust holes and everything in it, but, ran like a top. Love it. Love it. So 8 3/4. That's me.
A little tidbit on that truck. We will see that truck again in a few episodes, depending on if we cover this episode again. But it is used on the town square, just parked alongside the curb somewhere along the square. And there's a police chase, and Roscoe slides into that car and sideswipes it, or the pickup. Or is it? Wait, I can't remember if it's now slid into the side of it.
It's the farmer that's in it. I think he survives.
Or maybe it's the one that has the door where they drive by and then, the door opens, that whole skit where doors open and pass by. I can't remember now. Now I'm drawing a blank. If it's
I think it's the door. I think you're right about that.
Yeah, but we will definitely see this truck again in the next few episodes.
Maybe we'll see it die. All right.
We won't see Molly or her humble friend, daughter, something.
Ever again. I liked it just for all the new footage, if nothing but that. Otherwise, it's an okay episode, but still in California, and that's good for me. All right, everybody, thank you for watching. You can find all of our shows in full version on audio. Click one of the links below. You can get this show on Apple Podcasts. You can find it in, I think it's in Spotify. I don't know. Our grand overlord will make sure that all the right links are there. You can tell your friends, and that would really help us out. Share our social media posts, if you will. Burn anything before we go.
When we're talking about jokes at the top, I have one that's almost good enough to use if you want it.
Remember, this is on video.
I'll skip. I'll save it for Patreon next month.
Okay. Everybody, patreon.com/KF show is where you go if you'd like more of this show for extra content. Otherwise, we'll see you next week. See you later. Bye-bye.
And use a lot of sandpaper on
That was a legend of how Swamp Molly tried to get the Duke clan to contribute to her nephew's preacher training, and how Jesse gave the boys a lesson in finding their roots, and how after nearly 40 years, old Jesse got another bowl of Molly's crawdad bisque.